Here we are. Welcome everyone. There's people still joining as we go in the earlier session of today. We had people joining until the very last minute. So I luckily I don't have the role of admitting people this time. Thank you for taking an hour of your day to hear from the fantastic teams at Metaminding Lab and Amnesty International Argentina today. They will be talking about this pilot that they have been running now for a few months using the metaverse technology to engage with activists and supporters. I'm not going to spoil what you're going to be hearing about, also because I'm not the best person to talk about that, but I'm going to maybe give a quick introduction. Should we do a quick round of introduction from the group? We've got, I think, Ale, Leah, Dean, RD, Daniel, and I think that's us. If you want to introduce yourselves. I'll nominate.
Just ruin chart 2, Matteo.
Oh, should we just wait until chart 2? Let's wait for slide 2. Perfect. Then Dean, over to you. Take us to slide 2, and then we'll do a quick intro.
Okay, so I'm going to hello everybody. I'm Dean. I'm going to be sharing my screen, but this is a multi-location, multi-organization presentation. So the first part of it is going to be taking place with my colleagues down in Buenos Aires. Leah and Ale, and then they will hand back to me, and then for one chart later on I will hand back to Leah, and then she'll hand back to me, and then the whole team will take questions. So and on the questions, we ran this morning. It was really useful if you put any questions that you have in the chat box. And if you can leave them, and if you want to verbally ask any questions, if you can leave them until the end, that would be great. And then we can go over any questions that we had. And we had in fact, we ran out of time for the questions this morning. We had a really good session. So I'm hoping we're going to have a really good session this afternoon as well. So I'm going to share my screen. I need to remember to share it with sound because we do have a video to share with you as well. And then I'll hand over to Leah. So just let me share my screen. Share sound, that one, share. And I just want to check, Matteo, is it moving?
It is moving.
Great, that's brilliant. Right, so Leah, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Dean, and hello everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Leah. I use the pronouns she and her, and I will, as Dean said, I will start with the presentation for today along with my friend Ale and Dean. So the project we've made from Amnesty International and Metaminding Lab has a goal to reach the Gen Z and A audiences. It's actually about a video game in the metaverse. Dean, if you want to go to the next slide.
Oh, right there. There you go.
So this is us. As I said, Leah, I'm the Digital Hub Coordinator here in Amnesty Argentina, and I work on the project with Ale, who you will hear also. Ale is our multimedia designer at Amnesty Argentina. And we also had the participation of Amber Chassin, who's the individual giving deputy director, and she also helped us a lot testing the game. And on the Metaminding Lab team, you have here RD, who's present in this meeting, as the product mind. You also have Paul, who is the tech mind, and Dean, that you will hear, you already heard, who's the insight mind. So as I said, the goal of our pilot, of our project, is to reach younger audiences and actually new audiences also for Amnesty International regarding the generation Z and A from 11 years old up to 25, 26 years old, and where this generation is present, we can find them on Roblox, which is a metaverse for gaming. So our idea was to go and talk to them on a specific space where they actually are. And why do we wanted to find them there? Because first of all, we felt the need from Amnesty International to raise awareness among younger audiences, and also to find future-proof support, but very much start talking to younger audiences, start finding a way to talk to them and to attract them to activism, to human rights defense, as we think that the generation Z&A can play a key role as activists and supporters of the organization, but also on a future, they can be future potential donators to the organization. So we have both the idea to start talking to them, but also and put them into activism, but also start to find new potential donors. And at the end, the core of Amnesty International is the human rights education. We work in Argentina, in every section in the world, with a group of young activists, and we defend the human rights education as a way to defend your rights. So that was something that was very important for us to start educating, but on a different way of doing it, and bring that defense of human rights to a digital level, to a space that is new for us, which is the metaverse. Also, we knew as a human rights organization that there have been human rights violations on the metaverse, as they are in the real world as well. So we think that it was starting to be very important for the organization to be able to be present in the metaverse, to start monitoring what was happening on those spaces, and be able to respond to it. Next one, Din. So in numbers, our objective were to mobilize and reach 10,000, between 7,000 and 10,000 audience trying and playing the game. So that's a goal that we overcome. And also in numbers, we wanted 10% of this audience that we reach to be engaged and really to start understanding more about Amnesty International as a new community members. So we created a way to keep maintaining informated this person through a Discord channel. And we wanted 3% of this community to be ambassador of the game, to talk about the game, to promote the game, to become really Amnesty International activists. So the second goal we have was to raise awareness, as I said, as the role of Amnesty International in protecting people in general, to be able to make the Gen Z and A more able to know us better, to know what's our work is and how essential our work is. And last but not least, we also wanted to receive donation from this. There is a really objective for fundraising, even though we didn't put numbers on this this goal, because we weren't sure about if it were going to be easy or not, because we were also reaching a new audiences on a new platform that we didn't know, but we knew that fundraising should be and would be a part of the pilot.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Lea. And as Lea mentioned before, I'm Ale Lopez Hidalgo, and I am the multimedia designer here at Amnesty International. So, the Bird of Escape to Freedom, a refugee-inspired Roblox game that reaches Gen ZA. So in Amnesty International, we work to defend a lot of violations of human rights and cover it in different campaigns. We have campaigns for gender rights, violence against women, LGBTQ plus rights, political persecution, refugee crisis, to name but a few. And it was decided that the project should focus in refugee issues because it's a growing issue worldwide, and as we know, it is an issue that touches people of different genders, backgrounds, and ages. And also, it was easier to design a game and tell a story around this cause. In our research, we found that the refugee stories include a journey, a very difficult journey, and we found this very interesting to tell because it has its own narrative. We were inspired by this journey and found interesting to let the users and the players of the game experience this journey full of obstacles in first person. To the development process, it took us 6 months from defining the storyline to the game launch. In this process, we involved to the group of young activists in Amnesty International to have a point of view from our target audience. And we talked to refugees to have veracity and defining and creating the scenarios. Our team had a weekly meeting or sometimes bi-weekly where we shared progress, updates, and made some decisions. And from the test, we tested the first version of our game with a group of players belonging to our target audience. The results were very positive with good comments on the storyline, audio, visual elements, and gameplay. This test also helped us to identify bugs to fix. We also tested the game with former refugees and received very nice feedback. The game maintained its veracity, and they mentioned the importance of people experience this journey in first person. One of our testers was even willing to collaborate in the promotion of the game, and so we were able to generate some content for sharing our social platforms with Eddie, a former refugee, who tell us and invite us to play the game in the content we generated. Thank you, Dean. I'll pass to you.
Thank you. Thank you both, Leah and Ale, for that. So when we actually had decided on, as Ale said, that we were going to concentrate on refugee issues, and then through working up the story that we wanted to tell, ultimately we wanted to educate this age group, this new younger age group, on the role of Amnesty International, the role of war and hardship, and particularly what refugees face and all the different stages across the journey. And Ale said, we actually spoke to real refugees, and they said that the game that we designed really resonated and echoed with what they faced. And, it brought back a lot of memories, but it also was quite compelling that they wanted to carry on playing. We also wanted to be able to try and find a way of maybe identifying players who would be more likely to support Amnesty International. And there was a way of actually looking at this in terms of maybe people who help in a certain situation, because there were certain parts of the game where there were people trapped behind a door who were asking for help. And we could note which of the players would actually stop and help these other people. And so they are maybe the more of the profile of people that could be maybe ambassadors in the future for Amnesty. So the key elements of the game was really storytelling and developing the messages of Amnesty International. That was through 6 stages of the game, and the pictures of the 6 stages are on the left, which was a normal world until war breaks out, and then in an apartment, and then out into a war-torn city, moving into the countryside, escaping things in the countryside, and then into a safe camp. And then taking a perilous journey across the sea and ended up in a detention center in the final stage. we're able to look at profiling, and I can show you some of the profiles of the players and getting the data from the game. And there is fundraising as well. It wasn't, as Leah said, we didn't put any numbers on the fundraising, but there's ways of raising funds and raising donations within a Roblox game. And so we actually had that with, for example, buying t-shirts, as you can see here. So you have an avatar who's playing, you can decide how that avatar looks, and then you can actually choose and pay for a t-shirt for one of them to wear. There were also side games. So there were 6 stages, and there were also 3 bonus games, and that could be anything from role play to answering certain questions. You can see one here: what sites are protected in war by law? And the players answer those questions, but then if they don't get it right, the correct answer comes up. So all the time, upskilling and imparting information to this new audience, who are hopefully going to be the supporters and donators for Amnesty International of the future. So what I'd like to do now is to play you a short video. It goes through each of the stages of the game and then shows you some of the opportunities to donate. So I'll click play. Matteo, you can hear the sound, yes?
I can hear the sound, yes.
Great, thank you. Okay, so in terms of marketing, this was very important. So in order to generate interest in the game, we had lots of different ways that we were actually going to be promoting the game. I'll come to some comments about that in the key learnings and maybe things that we could have done more. But we had influencers, so people who are regular game players, have a big following, and they actually promoted the game for us. There was the Amnesty International Marketing Network down in Argentina that we actually used some of those for testing, but also sending out promotional information for that group. We had ads on Roblox. The more ads you have on Roblox, the more awareness to the game can actually come. We didn't spend a huge amount on any of this, so we're very pleased with the results we got from the limited resources we had. We created a community on our Discord server, so we are able to communicate with this community much better. And then we had a website, Escape to Freedom website, and there was all the usual social media, so YouTube, TikTok, Twitter campaigns that we've done. So we started all of this in November last year, and Matteo and I actually launched the trailer of the game at a Market Research Society Generation Z conference in London at the end of last year, Q4, and they were the first people to see it. And then we had teasers going out and trying to create a social media buzz. Stages 1 and 3 of the game were launched in January. One was January, and then a few weeks later, stage 2, and then up to stage 3 in March. And then we took stock of the situation, made any changes from feedback, and we launched stages 4, 5, and 6, along with stages 1, 2, and 3. So the whole game was launched at the end of June, so a couple of weeks ago. And so now people can play the full game going forward. Leah, do you just want to give a little bit about the influencers and the reviewers that you've had down in Argentina?
Yes, sure. Thank you, Dean. So as Dean explained, part of the marketing strategy was to go to influencer and gamers and streamers and present them the game, asking them to make a review of it. Usually those reviews are made on YouTube or on TikTok, because actually going into the gaming world, that was something like very different and new for us as an organization. So we really take the time to ask ourselves, how can we reach and spread out the game in a way that we don't usually do, because it's not only, I don't know, doing a press communication or an online petition that we do usually at Amnesty International. It's really trying to promote a new product in a world that we didn't know at the beginning. So here in Argentina, we worked with an ally organization whose name is Women in Game Argentina, and who are actually women that play games, and they really helped us to go through to the gaming world and make us understand better where we were stepping in. And so you have a picture of one of the girls here doing a review of the first level. Also, the Metaminding team proposed us a lot of names of influencers, both on YouTube, both on TikTok, that can help to make those reviews of the game. So you have, for example, the streamer, the gamer, playing the game and recording himself or herself and talking about the process of the game and everything. And that helps us to spread out the game to new gamers, to make the game better known, but with an influencer twist, so to make the game, make the person more confident about the game or more interested in the game, because it's not only, as Dean said, a paid promotion that can help us for this, but really like the recommendation of another gamer to another gamer really makes the game being able to spread more. And for example, thanks to this strategy, when we were really moving the game through streamers here in Argentina, we made the country Argentina in the top 3 players of the country where the game is most played. So that really shows the possibility that you can have working with influencers, working with streamers or gamers to recommend the game to others gamers, really shows how you can grow a community around the game. I think
Thanks, Leah. So let me now tell you where we are at with the game. So we had a target of getting 7,000 to 10,000 players on the game. So far, we've had 136,400 visitors to the game. And bearing in mind, we only launched stages 3 to 6 about 2 weeks ago. So we're incredibly proud of these numbers. We've got over 20,000 monthly active users and 66,000 unique players, obviously showing that people are coming back time and time again. And one important thing is that the average play session is about 20 minutes, and that's much longer than people would normally spend reading things on social media. So that's 20 minutes of being exposed to the challenges of refugees, the challenges they're facing, and also how Amnesty International can help those refugees, and the role of Amnesty International in other human rights issues. So that's absolutely invaluable PR. Amnesty Argentina, when they were actually promoting this, have received about 1,800 requests for information about Escape to Freedom. And with those requests, it has their contact details as well. And so that means that there are 1,800 potential leads for donation that then can be put into mailing lists, etc., or people calling to look for future donors. I mentioned that we had a Discord community, and we needed to set up a Discord community because in the Roblox world, we as the game developers are not allowed to give Robux, which is the currency on Roblox. We're not allowed to give any prizes in terms of Robux to the players. The only way we can do that is to set up a Discord community, which is like a server where people have to register in order to be able to receive their Robux. And we actually had 3 tournaments for stages 1, 2, and 3, and people could earn extra Robux. And so we've got this community now. We've got the contact details of these players. So we aimed to get, as Leah said during the objectives, about 10% of our target, which was 7,000 to 10,000. So if we say about 8,000, 8,500 people would be the target. So that's about 850 people in a new community. We're already at about 30 to 40% that, and that's really just from stages 1 to 3. And there's a lot more exposure to Amnesty International in sessions stages 3, 4, 5, and 6, because we're advertising virtual goods, so the T-shirts with Amnesty branded, etc., between the different stages in the later stages. So we're hoping to absolutely get to our target number of that 10% of the number we originally wanted. Now, donations was one of the, we must remember it's reimagining fundraising, but fundraising just doesn't have to start with people giving money. You've got to get people upskilled with what an organization does first, which we're doing with what Amnesty does. But we have had donations. They've been quite conservative, but we agreed right at the beginning, we didn't want the game too commercialized. There are ways to commercialize Roblox games. So for example, buying extra power, buying extra speed, buying more food, and things like that. We didn't want to do that. The only thing that we had on the game was actually just buying digital T-shirts for the avatars. But as I say, within the full launch, we've now got more opportunities to buy the branded goods in stages 4, 5, and 6. So overall, we are super happy with the results that we've achieved, and we've definitely ticked the boxes of upskilling people with information about Amnesty International as well. So a little bit about demographics, because Roblox as a platform is very good at able to look at data from the people that are playing. Just in case people aren't aware, Roblox as a platform, you can try and communicate with the players, but players have to accept you as a friend first. So the easiest analogy is to think of Roblox like LinkedIn. You can't communicate with somebody individually on LinkedIn unless you actually send like a request for them to connect with you. This is why the Discord community is very important, because we've already got that. So we can try and get all of the 66,000 to accept, but a lot of them may not actually accept our request to communicate with them, but we do get the background information on them. So you can see that roughly half and half of the players identify as male or female, and about 95% are aged between 13 and 17, with 65% being over the age of 18. So they're definitely in the age group to be able to make donations now, and definitely younger than the average supporters that Amnesty had in the future already. So in terms of the geographies, although we were actually playing or developing this game for Amnesty Argentina, we didn't specify that we wanted it to be advertised just for Argentina. So we actually left that open. And as you can see at the moment, roughly a quarter of the players are in the United States, and the players go right the way over to the Far East. And we also have players in different countries in the Americas as well. Leah mentioned that when the influencers were involved and putting out the social media advertising, then Argentina went up the rankings. It shows the power of social media and shows the power of advertising in terms of affecting where people are playing. And there's just one gap on here, in case anybody's wondering. China isn't featured on here. That's because at the moment, Roblox is not available in China. It's looking to launch later in the year with a joint venture with Tencent. And then we expect that there would be more players featuring from China as well. Now, I mentioned that, or we mentioned that one of the key messages, one of the key objectives of the game was to actually get what Amnesty International does and the plight of refugees actually sort of shared amongst this new community. So here are some statistics. 92% of the people who were playing Escape to Freedom spent extra time on those three educational side games, and they get game points for doing that, but they don't know they're going to get game points up front. They only get the game points afterwards. 74% completed role-playing missions. So there's role-playing missions, and there's actually quizzes within these side games. 74% played the role play, and 70% spent extra time helping these help requests. So for example, in stage 1, there's somebody trapped behind a door and going, help me, and you have a choice of helping or not helping, but you don't know that the time will stop when you're actually helping, because the whole point of the game is to get on to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage as fast as you can. You don't know that the clock will stop when you're actually helping until you've actually done it. So it is really showing and helping to identify people who are going to be more likely supporters of other people and could be potential ambassadors for Amnesty in the future. Now, in terms of upskilling people, when we actually ran the mini quiz, and there are 3 questions that are asked various stages throughout the game, but they're not the same questions. So it's a rotation of the questions. So we do this across 4 stages. 83% of the players showed an improvement in their score of what they actually learned. 52% went from incorrect to fully correct answers, again showing that people are upskilled. And the initial average score of correct answers was 21%, and the final average score of correct answers was 89%. And the top improvement topic was understanding what Amnesty International does and how players can help NGOs. So that's a phenomenal result, showing that how much the players have been upskilled in information. And then about 12.4% or just over 12% have shown characteristics, behavioral characteristics that align with what Amnesty International are looking for in terms of supporters. That's willingness to help. So for example, by those help requests and leading others. So the next steps, well, we're going to be hosting a tournament within the next month. And this will be a tournament again where the players can earn Robux. So they will actually, it's like a leaderboard, and they can actually earn money, but it's Roblox currency. now we've got the 6 stages. We will be collecting demographic data for 1 to 2 months, and then we'll produce a final report of that for Amnesty International Argentina. And then by about August, we'll conclude the project and we'll pass that pass the scripting and all of the day-to-day running then, because the game can continue running, to our colleagues down in Buenos Aires. So key learnings. We were asked to reflect and say, you know, what could we have done? What would we have done differently, maybe? So first of all, adapting the message to the audience is challenging, because there was lots of messages that we wanted to do, but it does show results. We actually managed to do that. We took 3 months to decide the topics and design the game story, but we're glad we did that, because we can see that our target audience, Gen Z A, are engaged and learning thanks to the game. It could be considered that we maybe want to reduce the number of stages or the difficulty of the stages. It's a fine line. Some Gen Z A players don't want it too easy, but the majority don't want to be too heavily challenged. What that would do, it would also make development and rollout faster. And we could also then, if we had less stages, maybe make more resources available for fundraising by selling, you know, more diversified, fancy, collectible, limited edition goods. If, and this is a big if now, if we'd have had an objective that we wanted to really raise money as well as imparting information, we may have looked at having 2 games, because if you've got a game where the story is imparted, it's quite hard sometimes to have a big commercial element to that. So we might have had one game where we were storytelling and another game that had a loop where people could, you know, pay for power, could pay for speed, could pay for extra resources, buy t-shirts, and really make it more commercial to generate donations, which is something that could be done in the future. And if we'd have had more time, more resources, you know, we had a finite amount of time, we had certainly a finite amount of resources, and our colleagues down in Buenos Aires will agree with this. We could have had more influencers, we could have had more social media awareness, we could have had more marketing, and then we would have got more players. But it is a bit of a catch-22 situation. We had a limited budget, and I think we've done really, really well with what we've got. And ultimately, this project is definitely replicable to different NGOs, just with different, whatever the different challenges are, or whatever the different stories that you're looking for. And we've got something, you know, a very similar idea in Hong Kong at the moment. There's somewhere in Hong Kong that is very into marine conservation. And we're now developing a game for that. But that actually links to a real world place, and it's developing footfall from people who learn about something in the metaverse to then go and visit this place in real life. So there are different ways to adapt the games to different charities or NGOs. And finally, we had a series of challenges, or reimagining fundraising did. The first one was engaging new audiences. Well, definitely we've engaged Gen Z A here, so it's targeted to new audience. We've gone beyond traditional fundraising models, so we're selling, you know, things in the metaverse. We're looking at generating new lead donations by a totally different audience, and we're generating income in a different currency, Robux. We've definitely got new channels, new tools, which was Challenge C, gaming on the metaverse, a Discord community, and a talent revolution. Well, we're looking at getting new talent, younger talent, new ambassadors for Amnesty International or whatever the NGO would be, and just disrupting the current norm. And I think we've done that with all of the above. So I hope that was a useful whiz through what we've done, and we will take any questions in the remaining time available. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean. I'm just keeping an eye on the chat,
Yeah,
and obviously everyone else who
time.
commented, Ale and Leah. I'm keeping an eye on the chat to see if there's any questions. So, Rosanda, hopefully I pronounce your name right. I really like the idea, and it is great to see younger individuals engaging in a game on the theme of forced displacement. However, I saw that the final step is escaping prison. Isn't this a bit controversial? And then Juan, I don't know if this is related to the question or is you just reserving yourself for another question? Okay, cool. Perfect. Would anyone like to jump in from the speakers on the escaping prison question that I just read?
Leia, do you want to?
Yeah, I'll take this one, and if anyone, even Daniel, if you want to participate, you can add something. I really love that question because actually our main concern was to reflect something that is true, but that also, as you said, that's also something that is controversial or violent anyway. So we were very careful in every stage of the game to that kind of question. We talked a lot with our refugee team in Argentina, refugee team in London. We talked about refugees that received the help of Amnesty International to really like understand and be able to talk the truth or most close to the reality. So actually final step is not exactly escaping prison, even though you have to solve some mysteries to be able to reach a phone and be able to phone Amnesty International, and that's how they help you to get your case for asylum done. So actually it's not like really escaping the prison, but being able to reach the phone and call to Amnesty International. So we try to find somehow, that's the same that as the stage 5, when you have to cross the ocean and you have to cross a frontier border. We didn't want to make you be able to cross a border illegally. So you cross the border and you are actually getting stopped at the border. So I like that question because actually that was one of the main challenges that we have on the script that we made of the game, being able to tell the truth, but without violence and being able to and doesn't showing behavior that we don't want to encourage either.
Yeah, and if I can just add something to what Leia said, and it's a question that came up this morning. Somebody asked about basically compliance and making sure that everything in the game was actually correct and fitting with internal procedures. So everything that we've done, and this is why we had our weekly meetings and bi-weekly meetings, everything was done, all of the scripts were checked internally and made sure that it fitted with what the rules and regulations were and the compliance procedures within Amnesty. And that would be the same with any NGO that would work on this way. And that's why I think the collaboration between our two organizations was phenomenal at 2:00 on a Monday afternoon for however many weeks. So Juan, you have a question. You've got a question from this morning. I don't know whether you're going to ask that question now, but you've got one from this morning. I was actually
holding my question anxiously, and now is the time. So no, my question in the morning was related to if you compare, so overall the idea of unlocking engagement with an audience that you're struggling engaging with, and if you compare this initiative with other initiatives that you have tried in the past, I mean, how did it work so far? I mean, is it much better? It is like equal? It will be good to know like whether this is a better way or not to engage with younger audiences. Thank you.
So Leia, Ale, or Daniel, I don't mind, but I couldn't answer that this morning. Because I don't know what you've actually done to try and engage this generation locally in Argentina.
Yeah, I think part of the answer is we've never done something so similar to this. But what I can say is Roblox is offering a massiveness that we weren't able to reach a different way. I mean, for example, if I take project that we do here in Argentina regarding human rights education, And we go to schools and we do card writings and kind of solidarity action here, like physically, but it doesn't have the massiveness to reach more than 100 players during 6 months. So, I mean, the first thing that really shows from this pilot is the massiveness that Roblox gives you. And also, I think that we made well the education part, because we read chats on Discord between the players saying, oh, I didn't know the passport was so important, or, oh, I didn't know about that process of asylum and everything. So we know that we reach well this audience, but the massiveness is really incredible. So not comparable to anything we've done before. I don't know if Daniel or Ale has something else to add.
I want to add something, and it is something that Dean also was saying about the engagement time. 20 minutes, people reading and not reading, be engaged and actually being there, being the person that is in need of help, is something that we have never had before. This video game has been a sensation within Amnesty, and we have had examples that are really like beautiful to see, like facers being stopped in the street by people say, hey, I don't know what you do, but I know that you work in refugees because we played your video games. So that happened to us in events, in everywhere that we go. And it's not only for Amnesty Argentina. As you can see in the numbers, it's for Amnesty as a brand worldwide, and it's very valuable. Also, you can see that Russia is the third market that is playing the video game. So imagine what it is like for Amnesty to be able to present this information in a market that is very difficult for human rights. And something else is, this video game showed us how to work integrated with campaigns and comms. This is not a fundraising video game. This is an Amnesty video game. And something to learn here, and for all the organizations that are presented in this, are present in this call, is how we can engage with other areas from Amnesty or for your organizations, so you can develop a full-scale project. This could not have happened if we didn't have the support of the boards, of the executive director of Amnesty International Global, locally, comms, and campaigns. So it's been very carefully designed, and that is why we are so happy. And congratulations to Ale, Lea, and the Metaminding team, because this is one of the most exciting projects we have developed.
Sorry, I don't know if Juan wanted to respond to this with the hand.
Can I maybe follow up? So let's if we want to, I mean, although you acknowledge that this hasn't worked as you wish for fundraising, Amnesty is willing to keep investing on this and grow and roll out this in the future.
I can take this, and the answer is yes, because of two things. We had, and as the team mentioned during the presentation, we didn't have much time to fully scale the marketing part. So we have had conversations with a lot of sections from the global office and bigger section than Amnesty that are really interested in the potential that this has. And also, even though that we have, for example, over 25,000 Robux donated in this small period of time and with little efforts in marketing, but that is tens and tens and tens of people that has been donated, because the average donation is what, 70 Robux. So, and we have 25,000. So imagine how many people it is, and the potential that it has for unique donations. So yes, Amnesty is going to continue with this, and now that is fully developed, now is the scaling part of marketing. It has a lot of potential for unique donations.
Yeah, can I just add something to that? So although I'm not decrying our numbers are way in excess of what we actually wanted, but compared with the numbers that are on other Roblox games that are in the millions, and they get this traction by having Roblox add Roblox ads on all the time, and these Roblox ads generate players. And it's almost like a catch-22. You need Roblox ads and you need more marketing to generate the players. And, you know, we could get up to the audience of millions, not thousands. And if each one of those was just generating donating 70 Robux, that adds up to a lot of money with more marketing. So I just wanted to add that.
And I'm jumping in, sorry, with another comment. When it comes to internal comparisons, so one observation that I made with another of the project that Amnesty, in this case is Amnesty Belgium, did in the past, and it was a gaming initiative they launched on a much smaller scale with much smaller budget. And it was a game based on the Wistaverse, and I'm going to paste the link in the chat. So the difference with that game, which, you know, was really good for learnings and didn't perform as well potentially as this, well, it didn't perform as well as what we're seeing from this game, right? The learning is that, first of all, you do need a longer term plan. You need a big outreach first, but also they went straight with NFT fundraising. They didn't go in with an educational piece. They didn't go in with an awareness piece, which, especially with younger activists and younger younger supporters, like it is really important. It very much is about like building that stewardship around human rights education. And I think what we're seeing here is the first block of that from the teams participating in this game. And it will be like what Daniel was saying about leveraging on the successes of this game. But we have seen going in straight with NFT or in tokenification of fundraising, and that just didn't meet the targets. It didn't meet the objectives, because that's not what a cold audience, a cold young audience was ready to do. So that's the only example I would say internally we have, and it's I think it's a good comparison. It's a good learning. Okay, are there other questions from the room? Whether it's in the chat, we've got 3 minutes left. Let's see. Daniela Pascal from SOS Children Villages, thank you for sharing your experience. Very interesting and innovative. I saw that one of the objectives was to recruit 10% of the people engaged as new community members. So I wanted to ask, what would it mean to be a community member?
Okay, I'll take this one, but others can add in. So a community member was actually people who were a little bit more engaged than just playing the game. They really would go that stage further and maybe provide some contact detail. We needed contact details. So we don't have everybody who's played the game join the Discord server, for example. So these are people that take that extra step and become a community member. And that Discord server, it's not just something from Metaminding Lab. It's not just, Escape to Freedom. It's actually branded, and it's got the branding of Amnesty International on there as well. So people know that they're becoming part of an part of a community that has something at its heart. And then on top of that, you've got the people who are willing to contact our Amnesty Argentina, give their contact details, and ask how they get more information about this, which again is building a community that could be potential future donors. But I couldn't agree more with what Matteo said about you've got to take people on a journey. And I don't mean a journey like a refugee journey. I mean a journey of learning, because a lot of these people wouldn't have even known what Amnesty International was at the start. And it is taking them by the hand and walking them through, in this case, what Amnesty, what it means to be a refugee, and then how Amnesty can help the refugees. and nobody's going to be putting their hand in their pocket or donating Robux until they understand what that is. So it is a longer term journey, and building this community to do that.
And I think one of the
Right.
biggest challenge. Oh, sorry, Leah. Yeah.
No, I would also add that community members not only, as Dean mentioned, it's not only a member of the Discord channel, it's also, we've made specific leads generation ads to receive contact info from people that would be interested in receiving more information about the game, and then those person that we have the contact info stays in Amnesty and also can receive information about the organization and how they can be engaged with the organization. So and actually we've almost we are around 2,000 people with the contact info that kind of join Amnesty movement. So it's part of, it's more than that 10% of the audience that we were thinking about to reach.
Yeah, so that 30 to 40% that I mentioned is just from the Discord server, the co-branded with Amnesty and Metaminding. If you take into that Amnesty leads number, we've really smashed that. And in terms of the last question from
I think
Taha Baba,
probably going to have to wrap up for
right.
this one. Can we get back to Taha? If you put your email address in the chat, we can get back to you about the question. I was told to be brief on the time. Thank you very much.
Great. I've got it.
We've got it. Perfect. Thanks very much, everyone. And once again, congratulations for the hard work that you've put into getting to this stage. It's definitely lots of things to celebrate and lots of learning. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining, for asking your questions. And I hope you found the session informative and inspiring for your activities in the future. The recording will be made available over the next week. And yeah, that's us. Thanks everyone for joining today.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Ciao.
Bye.